Scandinavia, specifically Norway. You want to go bikepacking there, or perhaps just traveling around the country? What do you bring? There's no easy answer, my friends, because above the Arctic Circle or in the mountains, it could be below zero in the summertime. At the same time, it can be as warm as Spain in places. So this video aims to show you what you need to bring to keep it as minimal as possible, but at the same time allow you to be comfortable, safe and secure, warm enough, and just above all enjoy your trip around this beautiful area they call Scandinavia. Obviously. Let's start with the basics. Tent. So if you're traveling alone and you're bikepacking, you're gonna have limited space. So you're gonna want a one-man tent. You want it to be light. This, my friends, is the Hubba NX MSR tent. It is 1.2 kilos. It's pretty damn light. It's really spacious for one man. It's incredibly waterproof. It's very well designed. Of course, it is a premium price because it's a premium brand, but it's been fantastic. Downsides to it are it's a tight squeeze knowing where to fit these in. You could have them on your frame, that could work. And of course, if you've got a large saddlebag like I have, they'll fit in there. If you've not bought a tent, there are tents on the market now that are designed specially for bikepacking, and they come with tent poles which are half the size of this. So if I could go back in time, I'd probably buy a bikepacking tent, but I don't want to say that in front of this one because I love this tent and he's been very good to me. Game changer. Game changer. This is the Sea to Summit ultralight insulated roll mat. Why this is so good? Well, for many years I've had a roll mat that isn't insulated, and the difference between having one which is and is not is huge. And in Norway and in Scandinavia, the ground at night, it gets very cold, and this bad boy has kept me extra warm, comfortable. Of course there are smaller ones on the market, but I'd rather have that warmth and comfort extra and take a little bit more space in my bag. If I am going on a long trip, I'll probably bring a pillow with me, a camping pillow. But if I'm only going away for a week or so, then sleeping bag liner, some clothes you're not using, just bang them in, my friends. Bang them in, and you have got yourself a very nice pillow. Sleeping bag, what do you take? Well, first of all, if you're bikepacking and you've got limited space, you're gonna have to get yourself a down sleeping bag. They ain't cheap, my friends, I know that. This is the Pathfinder, Kathmandu Pathfinder. I bought this in Australia, it's an Australian brand, and it's designed for Australian winters. So it's ideal for Scandinavian summers. That's right, Australia, your winters are our summers. And what's amazing about it is it goes, comfort level is down to 5 degrees, and it's this small. It has a transition or a limit of 0 degrees, although I don't recommend just having this when it's 0 degrees. Now the big question is, do you want to take a larger sleeping bag so you can handle all types of weather conditions? The answer to that should be no. What you want to do, my friends, is you want to layer up. Silk liner and down sleeping bag. If it's getting even colder, long johns, wool long sleeve top. If that won't keep you warm, down jacket, my friend, down vest jacket I have. If this doesn't work, then I've got the beanie hat, because you lose a lot of heat from your head, and I find that no matter the weather conditions from 0 all the way up to 20 degrees, I am perfectly warm and comfortable with that setup. Camping towel, compact, but opens up to a big towel. I like to keep it as minimal as possible, So I have this Primus Light Plus. It is super small. It has this incredible windshield which goes around it. That means that no matter how windy it is, the gas is still cooking, baby. The lid can be used as a little cup for coffee, but I find that it's a little bit too small for me. I like a good big cup of tea in the morning. So I take a camping cup with me. It's worth the extra weight. Gotta have a cup of tea. And check this out, my friends, check this out. Look at this little stove setup. So this just connects onto here like so. Gas is here. Oh, and away we go. I kind of cook pasta, rice, you know, simple things in here. In the evening, in the morning, I cook my porridge in here, and of course boil water for tea. That's about it really. Keep it minimal, does the job for what I require, and I like it a lot. And if I am going away for over a week and it needs more gas than usual, then of course I take a larger gas canister. And you're going to want to know, where can you buy these in Norway? Because chances are you won't be able to take it with you from your home country. Best place is sports shops. Sports shops in any of the towns and cities you pass by, you're going to be able to buy these. I don't recall seeing these in the gas stations. I've never bought one in a gas station. I've never seen one in a gas station, but I could be wrong. But sports shops, that's your best place, and it'll be the cheapest option as well. On the bike to begin with. Base layer, so important. Absorbs the sweat, takes it away from your body, keeps you warm and cool depending on the weather temperatures. Absolutely love base layers, perfect. Cycling shorts, not everyone is a fan of cycling shorts. I love them. Doesn't matter how much it's raining, it's going to keep my legs warm. It's got a waterproof layering on them, and they're always stuck to your legs. So unlike cycling waterproof pants, when it rains they kind of stick to you in an awkward way. These are just perfect no matter what. So I love my cycling shorts, and I take 2 pairs, guys. I take a thermal pair because my god it can get cold, and at the same time I take a nice summer pair for when I've got them lovely blue sky warm days. If it gets really cold, then I've got my leg warmers. They go on and they just do a fantastic job as well. And not forgetting, another great thing about cycling shorts is that padding. That padding makes a big difference when you're on the bike for 8, 9, 10 hours in a day. Layer number 2, cycling jersey. What I love about cycling jersey is the pockets, okay? I've got extra pockets for food or for my phone or whatever else. If I can't fit it on my bag at a certain point, they are there. Ooh, what's this? It's a packet of nuts. How lucky am I? Little note as well, I like to wear a bright cycling jersey. Obviously this one is not, but when I go traveling, I get a bright one on because that's great for visibility while on the road. Think about that. Layer number 3, so it's getting quite cold on the bike. What I have is a wool jumper or wool top. It's got long sleeves, okay? It's not that tight, so it's not really perfect for cycling, but when you're bike packing, you don't really want all your cycling gear. I'll explain why in a minute, but this is nice just to keep me extra warm when it's not raining, but it's a bit chilly. And also I can wear this off the bike. Layer number 4, guys, rainproof coat. So if it's getting really cold and it's starting to rain, then of course the rainproof coat comes on and we are laughing. What I want to mention though, really important. Now I could take more specific cycling gear with me, but there's a big downside to that, okay? Because when I'm not on the bike, I don't want to be wearing this. I don't want to be walking around the city with this on. Have you seen how tight this is? That's right, ladies, they're my nipples. And how could I forget the most important thing you need when cycling around Norway? You're probably thinking right now, hey, where's Matthew? I can't see him. Where's he gone? Hang on. Hey? Now you could just buy a really cheap one, which you use, for example, that you have in your car if you break down or things like that. But what I recommend is you get one which is waterproof, a little bit waterproof, which is windproof. So this is not only is it a reflective jacket, it's also a gilet, is that how they pronounce it? And it just gives me extra wind protection, extra waterproof, which I found absolutely ideal. Gloves, okay, really important, because you've got that padding here, so it's going to take a lot of that kind of tension away from the road, and of course if you come off your bike at any point, these are going to protect your hands. So cycling gloves are a must. I also have a cycling hat. This obviously keeps the sun away from my head, which is nice, or protects me from the sun. And also when it's raining, I have this little bit down, so it keeps the rain from my face and eyes. So yeah, I love my cycling hat. Shades. Now, these are all very good for being on a bike, but the minute you get off a bike and you walk around the town or city, or even in the campsite with these on, you're gonna look a little bit weird. I just bring my regular Mr. Cool shades, okay? So I can wear them on the bike, but also I can walk around the city. Can I have a coffee, please? That's right. I'm just as cool without them on. Remember what Lieutenant Dan said?
There is one item of GI gear that can be the difference between a live grunt and a dead grunt. Socks.
So important. I go for wool socks because one, they keep you warm, but at the same time, they don't smell as bad as other materials. So I find them a really good product to use. I have a very thin pair of socks, which are very breathable. A thermal pair of wool socks. And of course, if it's really, really cold and it's raining, then you need some shoe covers. And I recommend you bring in some. Just have some sort of lining in them, some thermal lining in them, because you never know how cold your toes are gonna get, even in the summer in Scandinavia. I can't believe I totally forgot about shoes. So important. Yes, a good pair of clip-in mountain bike shoes I recommend for bike packing, okay? So the cleats are this design, and make sure that they fit into the sole so you're nice and flat ground, so when you're walking in on normal ground, you're going into the shops and such, it's nice and easy to walk with them on. I went for this kind of color because it's bright and it allows me to be more visible on the bike. And what I love about this type of shoe is the design, so I can open it all the way up like so. And this is really great, so if you've been on the bike for 8 hours and they don't smell so good, you just take them off, put them in the sun. Sun rays kills all the bacteria and they smell great the next day, kind of. And of course drying them as well if they're soaking wet. They dry really quick with this kind of setup. So I absolutely love these shoes, I highly recommend them. I've had them for 3 years, look at them, they're so good condition. They've done over 12,000 kilometers. Well, I shouldn't have done that. Off the bike, if it's warm and sunny, I got a pair of just sports shorts here, which also have this kind of like boxer lining, so I don't need to wear any underpants underneath. And then I just have a very thin summer wool top. Once again, wool because it doesn't smell as bad. It means I can wear it for a lot longer without having to wash it. And of course I can swim in these, which is great. These are my swimming shorts for all the amazing lakes and rivers you're going to pass through and you want to have a dip in, although it is very cold. So if it's cold and you get to campsite, I've got trekking pants which have also got a waterproof coating on them, and I've got a long sleeve wool top. It's getting colder, Matthew, what are you going to do? Well, I've got my down jacket. I bang the old down jacket on. Very light, easy to pack, and it's so unbelievably warm, and it keeps you warm in the place where you really need it, in that chest area, covering all the major organs. Okay, really good. And once again, if it's even colder when you've stopped cycling and you're off the bike, then I just put on my rainproof jacket. It's got these vents in them here, so this tends to never smell no matter how much I wear it on the bike. And it's really light. Of course, it really is insulated as well. So now I've got a 3-layer system on. I tend to not need any more than that when I'm off the bike, but of course I've got the added option of using that long sleeve wool top that I had on my bike if it is really cold. And then I have 4 layers, 4 light but very warm layers. And I have a set of gloves. Don't really need these off the bike, but on the bike when it's really cold. And I've been in situations where these have not been good enough, and you're going to find out about that in a video coming up in the next few months. So good solid pair of gloves. Off the bike, the only socks I have is just another wool pair of socks which I wear in the evenings and at night time. Once again, they keep your feet nice and warm while you're in the tent. I don't have anything else, so if required, I'll just walk around barefooted if it's too warm to wear the socks. Some people bring flip-flops. Scandinavia, I'm not so sure flip-flops are a good idea. I go for just a kind of light pair of trainers, the sort of trainers you can run in, but at the same time maybe you could go up mountains or some easy mountains with, and also something that can walk around the city and feel comfortable in, that they're kind of normal trainers. Yeah, so I just take myself an old pair as well. I don't take something fancy because you're going to be walking, especially in campsites or wild camping, it's going to be wet and muddy in places and they're going to get ruined easily. So bring something you don't care so much about, and that's what I bring off the bike. Flip-flops are a good option and they're easy to strap to your bag if you want that as a third option. So this is my complete clothing setup. This is the max clothing setup, so I don't always take all this gear, but this is the max, and this will keep me warm no matter the situation, both on and off the bike, and of course dry as well. Although one last thing I forgot to mention was a pair of wool underpants, okay? They're important, especially at night time. And yeah, that's it guys. Layering thin, light clothing, you can compact it all together, get it in your bag easy. That's Norway. Water. I take two 750ml bottles and they go in my front food pouches when I've got my max set up. And I also carry Camelback, which I've mentioned in my other video, 1.5 litres. So in total I have maximum 3 litres set up. You never really need more than 3 litres, I find, in Norway. There's water literally everywhere. And the golden rule is, I find that most of it you can just drink without any problems if it's fast flowing. 2 exceptions: if it's close to farmland or if it's water that's running through farmland, it might have pesticide in it and you can usually taste that. And also sometimes water runs over some sort of area which is high concentration of iron and other sorts of metals, so you have a kind of like a metallic taste to it. Don't bother, don't drink it. But the majority of the time you're going to find fast flowing water that is clean and just tastes amazing. That's one of the beauties of Scandinavia, my friends. And the tap water here. So bottom line is, I don't bring any purifiers, any sort of purifying for the water. I don't bring any sort of special device that like zaps with UV rays. It apparently cleans the water. If I'm in doubt, I'll boil the water, so especially from a lake, for example, always boil it from a lake. So just remember as well, you know, you've got loads and loads of small little towns and villages that you're going to pass through, and it's going to be very easy to just get your water bottles filled up there. You can just go into a small little shop and say, hey, will you fill my water bottles up for me? And the chances are they'll be very nice and they'll do that for you, because Scandinavians are nice people. Mosquito repellent. Mosquito repellent. It's a must, trust me. You wouldn't think it, but there's loads of mosquitoes and midges and all sorts of things trying to attack you all the time.
Getting absolutely annihilated by these little midges, and they're just biting me all over my face and back and neck and...
Ah! Bring it. If I'm going on a long journey, I'll bring some chamois cream. I won't bring a packet this big, I'll probably put it into something like this and just have a small amount, but I find that quite useful. Maybe you do. Sunscreen. You may think at times when it's been raining for 5 days, why have I brought sunscreen? But you can burn very easy in Scandinavia, especially if you're English and you've got very white skin. And if you're Scottish, well, I mean, you're probably going to need factor 50, but I bring factor 30 and I find that is good enough. Tubeless sealant, because I go tubeless with my tires, so I bring extra sealant just in case. Big question. Lube. Which one do you bring? Dry lube or wet lube? If you don't cycle right now, you might be a little bit concerned, but trust me, this is very important for us cyclists. And no, it goes on the bike, okay? Dry lube, that's the one I brought the first time I went bikepacking for 2 weeks around Norway. And what I realized when it rained for 3 days in a row is I was using up huge amounts of this. I had to keep replying it every bloody hour. It was just a nightmare. You only bring the wet one. Remember, your chain, if it's dry, it's going to get really dirty from the road, and that might cause you problems later on down the line, so bring them both if possible. I'm not going to talk about my toothbrush or my shower gel. You know what to bring for toilet products. Keep it to a minimum and all good. But what I recommend is a small first aid kit. You might fall off the bike in the middle of nowhere. You might graze your leg. You might be bleeding, okay? So what I tend to bring in this is disinfectant spray. This is really, really good. So you can just spray the grazed area. It's going to give it a protected coating and disinfect it all. Really, really nice. I bring some bandages with me. So I have the bandages with me. And then also a little bit of tape. I have some what we call plasters in the UK, but I know that Americans call them band-aids, and so do the Australians, I think. And paracetamol or ibuprofen, whichever you prefer. Yeah, don't need to go crazy, but you know, the bare essentials just in case you have an accident on the bike. And remember,
Try not to do anything stupid like getting yourself killed.
did you hear that noise? That's them testing the emergency panic, 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 everybody system here in Norway. It goes off every like 6 months or something when they test it for if we're going to get invaded by the Russians or something. I don't know. But maybe I'm under attack right now and I shouldn't be doing this video and I should be in some sort of nuclear bunker right now. But I'm going to carry on, guys, because that's the dedication I have to this channel. Please remember to subscribe. Most important, a pump. I'm only joking. A pump. Multi-tool kit, tire levers, puncture repair kit, Leverman, little air pressure adapter. This is when you get to the petrol station or the gas station and you need to pump up your tires. I've lost mine, so just imagine it's here, okay? One inner tube. Even though I'm on tubeless setup, I bring an inner tube just in case I have a major problem and I need to just throw in a tube. If I'm going far north, above the Arctic Circle, away from civilization, then I'll bring maybe 2 tubes because there are limited bike shops. Other parts of your bike is entirely up to you depending on your trip length. So sometimes I might bring some extra disc brake pads with me because you're doing lots of climbing and descending. Spokes, people bring spokes, I don't usually. Chain link. So there's lots of little things that you can bring just in case, but my biggest recommendation is get your bike fully serviced before you leave. Make sure everything is in tip-top condition. Tires, think about them. If you're going to be doing long distance, maybe you want to change the tires and have fresh ones on there for the trip. And then you'll find that you won't have any problems or very few problems if your bike is in good condition. And that's how I found it. So you're in Scandinavia, it's summertime, it's bright all the time. Why do you need lights? Well, if you're traveling in Norway especially, you're gonna come across a lot of tunnels. And guess what happened to me on my first bikepacking trip? I was climbing up this mountain. I got close to the top of it. There was a big tunnel. It was quite busy with cars. I turned around to press my light on and it wasn't there. It had fallen off somewhere. And what do you do? Cycle all the way back down to the town, which is 20 kilometers away, and then wait a day for the shop to open to buy a new light? Or do you have to go through the tunnel? Well, of course you go through the tunnel. You don't want to be in that situation, guys. Bring 2 lights. 2 lights when traveling, especially in Norway. So what I have is I have a really, really fancy, you could land planes with this bad boy, it's that bright. That's my main light, so that's on the bike, and then I have a smaller backup one which I usually keep in my bag, so worst case scenario I can pull that bad boy out. On the front I don't have much space to be able to fit a light on the bars, so what I tend to do is I have a light on my helmet, and I've got this very cool one that I bought in London which can also change to a backlight if required, so I can change the color of it, and I have that one for flashing, and I also wear a head torch, okay? And this is really, really good for also off the bike, so if you're camping and it's a cloudy day or it's getting dark around midnight or so, then you can just pull this bad boy out in your tent as well. So it's a really great option to have instead of having a big light on your bike. But some of the tunnels are extremely dark, and I found that this alone was probably not that good for giving me a view of the surface that I was cycling along, so take that into consideration. Maybe you want a big shiny bright light on the front. Maverick Mini, controller, GoPro 7, Garmin device, bring yourself an external charging device. When it comes to all the footage that I take, my memory cards are not going to be able to handle all that footage if I'm going on a long trip, so I will bring with me, unfortunately it's a little bit heavy, but this is an external hard drive and it's designed specially for traveling, so it's got this kind of protected casing on it, and it's also got all the kind of slot holders here for all the different types of memory cards you're going to use. So you just put them in, it loads everything onto here, and then you can wipe your card and continue taking great footage. Obviously I bring my phone with me, no brainer. What I do is I put a really strong protected case on this, so if I drop it while I'm cycling, it's fine. The last but not least, the most important thing when I'm going traveling is some black duct tape. I use this all the time if something happens to one of my bags, or if something falls off my bike, or if I need to tape things to my bike, my tent pole breaks or whatever. This duct tape can do so much and save the day in difficult circumstances, so I highly recommend you bring duct tape. Alright guys, I think we're done. It was supposed to be 10 minutes, this video. It turned out to be a little bit longer, but I hope there's some useful information in here for you. I can't think of anything else. Can you? Let's leave Judy out of this, shall we? Come on.